You're listening to Everything Out There with your host, Steve Stockton.
Hello, friends. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Steve Stockton here with you. Everything Out There on the Clyde Lewis Ground Zero Radio Network. Thank you for joining us tonight. My guest tonight, once again, she's back for another round, all the way from East Tennessee, Catheta Cat Gray. You may know her from the YouTube channel Ghost Lore. And also, Lee G, First Floor Audio, wrote a song about her called Love Online. Strictly platonic, but it is a good song. And if Lee gives me permission, I'm going to play it during the break. But otherwise, Catheta, come on in. How you doing?
Hey, how are you? Congratulations on your son Holden. And
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I missed a couple weeks here, but I've been doing the radio show for a little over a year now. In fact, if all things, if I've been able to do them while the baby was being born, this would be episode 53, but it's just 51. But counting those 2 weeks in there, I didn't do one. So this is actually week 53. So a little over a year that I've been graciously permitted to be here on Everything Out There on the Clyde Lewis Ground Zero Radio Network. Thanks, Clyde and Ron and Mike and everybody associated with the show, all the producers and everybody. So what's going on in East Tennessee, Catheta? Did any of those floods get down to your area?
Surrounding me, but there wasn't anything that I know of really too bad in my area.
Yeah. I lived up in Mountain City for about a year. It's in the extreme northeastern tip of Tennessee. And Roan Mountain up there got hit. And then just down the road, Damascus, Virginia, where the Appalachian Trail passes through. I think that whole town was underwater from the stuff I was looking at. The Appalachian Trail, I think, is close to there. A lot of those little towns. I was just surprised at how bad Carolinas and the parts of Tennessee got hit. Pigeon Forge, Sevierville, Gatlinburg. I saw something earlier saying that the roads were out in the Smokies, and 441 through the Smokies, a snowflake falls, they close it down anyway. But apparently, the road is absolutely gone in some of those areas. So, who knows? Prayers for those people up there in the mountains.
Yeah. Now, a few years ago, we had some very bad rains, and there was a couple little landslides. A landslide behind the apartment complex came down and just beat up the back side of that apartment complex. Just big, snaky, curvy road going across up the mountain. There was somebody that lost their life coming around through there when a landslide came down and knocked them out of the road.
Yeah, there's a lot of devastation, destruction, and deaths all over it. The toll just keeps climbing. It's again, prayers to all those people. Well, tonight we're going to talk about haunted Tennessee. And as a lifelong resident of Tennessee, I hope you'll be able to give some insight on some of these things that I came up with here.
I know a few little things. I'd love to know a lot more. Hey, learn every day, I guess.
Yeah. There's always more stuff going on.
Loved the paranormal since I was a child. And
yeah, same here. I didn't choose it; it chose me. Somebody asked me that one time. Said, "Steve, why do you pick all this stuff to write about and to talk about?" I said, "Well, who says I picked it? I think it picked me."
Yeah, I don't even give it thought. It's just, it's like breathing. It's natural.
Yeah, it just is.
Yep, I can't help it. I don't tend to not listen to, stories or something like that. I've never thought about having to not listen to it. I always have an open mind or an open heart and ear for it. I'm like, tell me more.
Yeah.
Very interested in it.
Well, Tennessee is a hotbed of paranormal activity with many historic locations boasting their own resident ghost and spooky stories. Tonight, we're going to go over just a few of the most famous hauntings in this state. Let's go ahead and start with one of my favorites. That's the Bell Witch Cave and canoe rental now in Adams, Tennessee. Now, they've added the canoe rental since I was there last time, but it's right there on the Red River, so I guess that makes sense. Have you ever been up there to the Bell Witch Cave?
No, I've always heard so much about that though. It's always coming across my YouTube feed, or there's some connection to it, or somebody's related to the family. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's too
very
extensive
widespread.
stuff to go in here, but we'll just briefly, no list of Tennessee hauntings. I don't think would be complete without the infamous Bell Witch,
Yeah,
the entity that tormented the Bell family in the early 1800s, and is said to still haunt the cave where she once resided. Visitors have reported hearing strange noises, feeling cold spots, and even seeing apparitions. And last time I was there, it's been a few years ago, but heard some noises back in there. It's a creepy, creepy place. And I was the only one there. She unlocked the big iron door that they've got over the entrance, so I know there wasn't anybody already in there. And I took some strange pictures. Sadly, I don't have them anymore. They got lost in a hard drive crash. But there's some pictures of some stuff down there that she said wasn't there. And Chris Kirby, the lady, her and her husband own it. And frightening stuff. She's got a couple of albums that, or when I was there, that she probably got more than that now. That she photo albums that she showed me, and people. She's taken some strange pictures, and people sent her strange pictures back. One of the strangest was a picture of her daughter, who was just young at the time, and her friend sitting outside the entrance of the cave. And her daughter's got a snake around her neck. It looks like maybe a boa constrictor or something like that.
that's
And
scary
she
enough.
said, yeah, she said, my daughter is absolutely terrified of snakes. And there's just two little girls looking in the camera and smiling, and her daughter has a snake around her neck. And she said, there is no way on earth that my daughter would have sat there and posed to the camera smiling with a snake around her neck. Now, how do you explain something like that? That's just weird.
Well, yeah, is that a ghost snake or is the child possessed? Or I don't
I
know.
reckon it's some kind of apparition or something.
The Bell Witch haunting. It's right up there. It's getting to be known as like one of the most known haunts of all time. It's very well known.
And I would recommend to anybody that if you're in that area, it's definitely worth visiting. And I've got a list here that I'll go over. Next up, we've got the Reed House Hotel, which is in Chattanooga. I've been by there, but I haven't actually stayed there. Room 311 in this historic hotel is rumored to be haunted by the ghost of Annalisa Netherly, a woman murdered in the room in the 1920s. Guests have reported seeing her apparition, as well as experiencing strange noises and unexplained occurrences. You ever been to Chattanooga?
I don't think I have. Maybe passing through, going somewhere
Yeah,
once.
used to have some cousins that lived down there, and I was young at the time, didn't spend a whole lot of time going places, but there are some creepy places anywhere, any older city like that.
That's something I've never really got to do, but I plan on it. I want to go to some of these haunted attractions, preferably um, more personal, private tours instead of like the big group tours or something. Maybe like even doing an investigation.
Yeah, that'd be
That'd
fun.
be fun.
And they have a website. It's called the Reed House Hotel, READ, househotel.com. And they've got some really nice looking rooms there. At our historic Chattanooga Hotel, we specialize in 1920s splendor while catering to modern tastes. The Reed House is a dazzling jazz era gem with the trappings of a new hotel. 241 rooms, historic getaway, boasts soaring lobby ceilings, dramatic chandeliers, checkered floors, and gleaming wood-clad walls, plus apparently a ghost. I don't know if they mention it on the side. A lot of places don't. Let's look at, yep, room 311. Here it is on their website. Legend has it there's a ghost among us. Learn more about Annalisa Netherly, the Reed House's resident spirit. And there are many who believe room 311 is haunted by the ghost of Annalisa Netherly, a guest who was allegedly beheaded in the bathtub, holy cow, by a jealous lover in 1927. Over the years, a number of guests have reported paranormal activity in the room, including unexplained noises, flickering lights, running water, shadowy figures, and more. The haunted room is well known by many locals who have experienced paranormal activity of their own. And if you go check it out on their website, there's a lot more. There, Guests who stayed in room 311 swear to have felt Elisa's presence, and some say they've even seen her. Room 311 was restored to its original 1920 state during the hotel's latest renovation. Many of the original elements from Annalisa Netherly's time remain, including a vintage clawfoot tub, hopefully not the one she was beheaded in,
Yeah.
and an AM radio. A throwback there. A manual lock on the door requires the use of a physical key, just like hotel guests would have used in 1927. And tours of the room, when it's not occupied, are available upon request at the availability of a tour guide. So if you're in Chattanooga, Tennessee and surrounds, go check out the Reed House Hotel. And maybe you'll be introduced to Annalisa Netherly, who was allegedly beheaded in the bathtub in room 311. Spooky stuff there, Kathina.
Yeah. I kind of like the, well, they're not abandoned, but they have been preserved and open to the public for such things like ghost hunts and ghost tours, is prisons, jails, prisons, like Tennessee State Prison in Nashville.
Yeah. And another one that was on my list here that I'm going to be talking about, and I've been on her show. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, she was on this show too. The historic Scott County Jail in Huntsville, Tennessee, close to Oneida there. Ghost Biker, what's her name of her YouTube channel? Ghost Biker Garage or something like that.
Yeah.
I've had her on, and they've got all kinds of unexplained stuff. Their former jail said to be haunted by the spirits of former inmates who died within its walls. Visitors have reported hearing screams, seeing apparitions, and feeling uneasy in certain areas. And they have a website. It's historicscottcojail.com. And they're open 5 days a week for tours. They have a museum there. Built in 1904, the jail is on the National Register of Historic Places and located in Huntsville, Tennessee. They have a true crime and law enforcement appreciation museum, spans all 3 floors of the historic jail, and can be viewed during daytime general business hours. And if you enjoy the mysterious side, they offer flashlight tours, guided ghost hunts, and private paranormal investigations in our After Dark tours, their After Dark tours. But check out their website there, historicscottcojail.com. And they've got some events coming up, especially here in spooky season. They've got a haunted history walk. And then they do their After Dark there. They have some book signings, and they've got an escape room and all kinds of stuff. It's definitely, if you go check it out if you're in that area, the Huntsville, Oneida area.
I've got a haunt here that, for the most part, kind of relatively unheard of for my neck of the woods anyway, and it's a steamboat. It was it used to cruise the tributaries of the Mississippi River in American South. It was docked in Chattanooga and operated as a floating hotel until it was bought by the Delta Queen Steamboat Company. Mary Green is the name of the spirit that is said to linger on the ship, and she's wife Green Line founder Gordon C. Green. She was a riverboat captain in her own right, and she died in 1949 while aboard the boat. Witnesses say she still hangs out near her former quarters. Well, I'd like to find out.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. Now, they have a riverboat there in Knoxville. I've gone on a dinner cruise on that years ago. But I've seen the one in Chattanooga. They've got one in Nashville, too, that you can see on the river there as you pass by. But I love those old riverboats.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever gotten to do one of the tours?
No. Have you, like the Queen Mary or anything like that, any of those?
I've visited the Queen Mary, but I didn't do the ghost hunt or anything. I think they've only started that recently. It's docked in Long Beach. But yeah, that said, I went on I think the Star of Knoxville is the one that they have there on the Tennessee River in Knoxville. People forget a lot of those towns in Tennessee are river towns. Chattanooga, Knoxville, Nashville. Knoxville probably wouldn't even be there if it wasn't for the river.
I'm thinking of something right now that's probably not on either one of our lists. Hold on just a second.
Your dog agrees.
Yeah, you heard that. Hold on. Mike's moving the mower.
And Kathita will be right back with us here. Got some other stuff coming up here. If you got any listeners in Tennessee, East, Middle, or West, uh, let me know in the comments or get a hold of me, Steve Stockton 81 at gmail.com. Like to cover stuff in your area for more upcoming episodes of everything out there here on the Clyde Lewis Ground Zero Radio Network. Hope everybody's ready for spooky season. Getting geared up here. My son Holden, he'll be a month old tomorrow. It's hard to believe, but we've already got him some outfits for Halloween and stuff. Looking forward to it. He'll be too little to trick or treat this year, but next year and beyond should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Being a boy dad.
Okay, maybe that lawnmower out there won't pick
Yeah,
up.
that's I just barely hear it. It's all good. Just a little ambiance there.
I guess he's not thinking about that. He knows I'm recording, but he probably didn't think about, picking up or anything. Um, One I'm thinking about that's probably not on our list that I think you visited. My dad visited. I think you've both been down to the water. Is the Rutherford Mansion in Kingsport on
Yeah,
Netherlands Road?
Rotherwood Mansion there. I've
Hmm.
been down behind it. It's private property. I think a doctor lives there, and I didn't want to go up in the yard and get in trouble. So if you go past it, there's a little picnic area on the French Broad River down there on the behind it. And I actually walked along the riverbank and got along the back of it and waded out about knee deep out there. And later found out the water right there behind it. That's where they've seen the ghost of the girl that drowned herself that lived there at one time. So, what can you tell us about Rotherwood Mansion?
It's reported to have at least two ghosts haunting the place. Given its reputation, it was built in 1817 by Frederick Ross, founder of the town Rossville, which later became Kingsport. He was father to a lady named Rowena. She supposedly fell in love with a man from a nearby town. After they got engaged, the man drowned after his boat capsized in the Holston River there. Her second husband also died of yellow fever. Her third husband and her had a daughter, and the daughter ended up dying. So she committed, you know, she committed herself there, um, ended her life, and she's believed to be the lady in white that haunts the mansion. Witnesses have seen her near the riverbanks, and some say she is searching for her first lover who drowned long ago. Also in the Kingsport area is a place that's gained a lot of popularity through the years. It's called Sensabaugh Tunnel. There's different stories about the
Yeah, I
place.
thought about that earlier when I knew you were going to be on. We talked about that last time
I think we
you were
did,
on
yeah.
with us, but let's talk about that again. Tell us about Sensabaugh Tunnel. You got some personal stories about there.
Oh my goodness. Now my dad claims that when they were younger, him and his sisters and brothers, they went there. Their car wouldn't start, and like a bloody handprint just smacked right up on the side of the windshield or the side window. I mean, um, finally the car started and they took off. Um, Now he took me and my sister when we were kids, and he had a camper top in the back of his truck. I believe he got scared, is why he did this, but he scared us so good. He got us. He crawled out of his window. That way we didn't hear the truck door. He come around through there and he just started beating and banging on the side of the truck. We screamed. He laughed. He got in the truck and we left. But yeah, uh, reports state that there was a woman that fell in love with a man. Now I'm not for sure which one was Native American at this point. I believe maybe the man was. Either way, they fell in love. It's forbidden. They supposedly wasn't supposed to be together, and one of them jumped and killed herself from the train trestle there near it. And another story states that it was a home invasion and somebody was shot and killed during the home invasion. Something about a baby's included in there. You can hear a baby crying. That may come from I think the lady jumped to her death, perhaps with the baby. Then I also heard that a baby was harmed and killed during the home invasion. So it could be a
Yeah, that
combination
they
of all
supposedly
those
took it
things.
and left it in the tunnel.
Yeah,
There's several conflicting stories about that place. Some say that it's not haunted at all, that the man who owned it, whose property it was on, he was the one that made up all those stories, and he haunted it. But then supposedly, then after he died, he came back and haunted it. So
yeah,
who
he was
knows?
just
But
trying to
it's a
scare
spooky
people away.
place. It's one of those where you pull up and you drive up there and park your car and put baby powder or flour on the car, and then when you leave, you have little handprints all over it.
Oh yeah, and you can put your car neutral in some places like that. There's a place, I'm not sure if it's in Tennessee. Um, you put your car neutral and put baby powder on the back of your car, and I think there's like a little hill or railroad track, and the car will actually move up and over it, and you'll have little like kid handprints on the back of your
Yeah,
car.
I've heard about that. There's one really famous one in Texas
That
where
maybe.
supposedly a train hit a school bus full of kids.
Yes, yes,
And
I
if you
did.
go and park your car on there or stop your car on the train track and put it neutral, it's
Yeah,
pushed across the tracks uphill by invisible hands. And if you put powder or flour on there, it's little hands. But apparently that's happened several places. Or it's just one of those urban legends that's got a bunch of different locations. But I think a lot of those, somewhere it really did happen. And
yeah,
kind of like the telephone game when we were kids, whoever was telling it kind of updated it to somewhere that they knew about. Because my mom and dad, my dad was from Middle Tennessee over in Fentress County. My mom was from up around the Cates Cove area, the Smokies, or Ramsey. And they heard some of the same stories growing up, just different locations, but, a couple 100 miles apart and 6 years apart. So those tales have legs. The tales travel, I think.
yeah. I think there's a little bit of truth in all the lore and legends. It stems from something. Apparently, it was worth mentioning to give it enough legs to carry out through the years. Become what they're known for. I think some truth lies in all of them. There's another tunnel that's said to be haunted near Sensabaugh. I believe it's a tunnel. Um, I'm still looking into that, but I want to know more on that one. It's just it's not as popular as Sensabaugh, but maybe it's a little more public accessible. Maybe you won't get shot at or anything trying to go
Yeah, I
about it.
don't know the legalities of going to Sensabaugh Tunnel. Like I said, I've been there, but I was with some people from the area, so I don't know if they had permission, but I hope they did. I was riding in their car, but it is a creepy place nonetheless.
Yeah, I've been there, and me and my friend, her boyfriend at the time, he didn't hear anything. But me and her, we heard. Her name is Sarah, or is Sarah. We heard what we thought was there was water trickling. You could definitely hear that. There was a cadence to that, but then it changed. Like somebody was walking in it, and it was getting closer, and then you could almost hear like a faint echo of somebody talking, and it kept getting closer and closer, and we didn't see anybody, so we just backed out. We just backed on right on out there. We couldn't see anything, but something definitely was audible and coming closer, and we're like, nope, time to go. We saw and heard. Well, we saw nothing, heard enough. Now the same thing could be said for the mansion there, Rutherford Mansion in Kingsport. Some say it's not haunted at all, but others, swear that it's haunted, that they saw things there.
Yeah, it's creepy nonetheless, especially being in that river back there. It was, I didn't realize it until later that was the water where they see the spirit of the girl. But it was interesting nonetheless. And another one I've got on my list here is historic Rugby. Have you ever been to Rugby?
No,
Now,
nope.
it's not too far from the Scott County Jail there. I think it's kind of on the way. It's a Victorian era village said to be home to several ghosts, including former owner Brian Stagg and a young woman named Isabel who haunts the Tabard Inn. Visitors have reported seeing apparitions, hearing footsteps, feeling cold spots. Now, from what I've heard, it's an unincorporated community there in Morgan and Scott counties. Founded in 1880 by English author Thomas Hughes, it was built as an experimental utopian colony. While it largely failed, there's a small community that still lingers there, and they've started redoing it. They've got a new subdivision over there, but all the houses are built in Victorian style, so it's pretty cool. But I've heard that every building over there is haunted to some degree. Now, there was a place I used to like to stop and eat over there called the Harrow Road Cafe. I don't think it's there anymore. I think I heard that it burnt down, but they're rebuilding it. But it's strange over there, particularly the library and some of those houses. So let's see. Let me take a look here. There's an Episcopal church there, the Thomas Hughes Library, Kingston Lisle, which is a Queen Anne style cottage, Percy Cottage, a house named Roslyn, and these are all from the 1800s. The Walton Court, the Rugby Commissary, Adena Cottage, Wren's Nest, the Lindens, Newberry House, Honordonk House, Pioneer Cottage, Martin's Roost, Oak Lodge, Huffington House, and the Clubhouse, and Twin Oaks. All those are from the 1800s and all supposedly haunted. But it's interesting to go and check that out. And if you can hear that noise in the background, that's Holden voicing his displeasure with something.
He's just chiming in. He's a beautiful baby boy.
Thank you. Yeah, anybody that would like to see him, come to my YouTube channel, Missing Persons and Mysteries, for one of my live streams. I have him on there. And also some of the other places where I go live, like First Floor Audio with Lee G. And then Monday nights with Cisco Murdoch, Journey Through the Gate Paranormal Portal podcast. He's been on there with me a couple of times. But he's already got international fans. He's quite the little gentleman.
And the brothers at the Belief Hole too. They were kind enough to send a little gift, and as you know, they said congratulations. I thought that was nice of them.
Yeah. I've got to get them on this show. We keep missing connections and stuff. They want me back on their show, the Belief Hole podcast on YouTube.
It was a good show.
It was an excellent show. That's, of all the shows I've been on, I've been a guest on a lot of shows. That was probably my favorite appearance.
Oh, they loved having you too. It was obvious.
Yeah. And Nicole's a big fan of theirs, and she got to sit like in the virtual audience and watch the whole thing. She was the first backstage guest or whatever you want to call it on there. So that was a good time. That was before I moved to New Mexico here and got married. So we were still doing the long distance thing at that point. But it made for a wonderful episode. I got to tell a lot of stories, and everybody really dug it. Let me take a look here and see. Currently, that's Belief Hole podcast, all one word, on YouTube. And the video popular. Yeah, I'm still in the number one spot. Just a little over a year ago, 407,000 views.
Awesome.
And the other two most popular episodes, they talked about me on it. Missing 411, The Portal Theory with fairies, Bigfoot, and National Park Mysteries, and Missing 411, The Containment Theory. Those are both over 250,000 views. So go check out the brothers, Chris, John, and Jeremy, the Belief Hole podcast. Tell them Steve Stockton sent you.
Yeah, a couple of them's twins there. One recently moved. John moved. I'm not sure where he moved to, but he recently moved. So, and they're getting situated. He's getting situated, settled back down. And they should have a show on. They come on Sundays too. Every 2 weeks, I believe it is. Yeah.
Yeah, let's see if they've got one scheduled.
I think they're due to come on this Sunday.
Yeah, I got something. I'm in their expansion. I subscribe to that. So let's see. They just had one 11 days ago. Yeah, so they should be back on Sunday. But it's good stuff.
Technically be tonight sometime.
The last one, Dark Synagogue, Skinwalker Shack, The Toodaloo Man, the other episodes: Monster Men of the Reservation, Otherworldly Odors, Psychic
No,
Mansion, Secrets of the Occult and Cold War, True
they have
Paranormal Stories, including Harper's Ferry, Walking
they have
Bushes.
a wide range of
Yeah, just every show they have is absolutely amazing. I love those guys.
they have
Said
listener
I
stories.
got to get them on here, and they said they'd come on, but we keep missing each other. They're busy.
Now, you started out watching them, and I'd actually just watched a show or two of them. And when you had asked me if I'd watched them before, I'm like, yeah, a little bit, not a whole lot. I don't know much about them yet, but I got into them. Absolutely love them. I'm not
Yeah,
really big on podcasts and stuff, but yeah, they're
yeah.
definitely
They were aware of my channel,
right.
and I was watching an episode one time, and I think it was Chris. He was sitting at
Yes,
his desk, and he had these books behind him, and I saw the spine of one of my books, and I went
that's what I
back
did
and paused it,
mention.
and I said, "Yeah, that's I think it's my." National Park Mysteries and Disappearances, Volume 1, The Great Smoky Mountains. I believe that was the one he had back there. And I took a screenshot of it and I messaged him, emailed him, and said, "Hey, thanks for having my book here. I'd love to be on the show sometime." And that's, we just started talking like that. And
Yeah, I love it. I know we went
it
to the
all came
channel
about.
one night, and they were like, "Is this the real Steve Stockton?" I said, "I can assure you it is." And
Yeah,
they were tickled to see you there.
I've got some fans over there. Now, later, we're recording this Friday night for air date Sunday. But later tonight, I'm doing the live on Missing Person Mystery Channel. Creepy Late Night Live, kind of kicking off spooky season 2024 here. And I posted about it on their Facebook group and got some responses over there. But looking forward to it. And I think Lee's going to join me, maybe even on camera tonight if he's up and around
Oh,
and
that's nice.
feels like it. I thought I've got some stories I'm going to read and just tell some stories. And I thought if he could do a little spooky piano or synthesizer thing behind it live, that might be cool. I don't know if he want to do that, but so don't be disappointed if you go back and watch it and that didn't happen. But if the stars align, it'll go.
Yeah, he may very well do it, but hopefully he
So
will.
he and I got some other projects we're working on for one of my YouTube channels called Tales Untold, and it's going to be amazing. Get it ready. It'll be just soon. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, that was your channel, Among the Missing. You've just rebranded the name there, and
Yeah, when I went back to Missing Person Mysteries and became owner of that channel, I decided instead of having two missing person channels, I just moved the missing person stuff over there, rebranded Among the Missing Tales Untold, and do immersive storytelling over there. I think I'm about 114K subscribers over there. So come check us out. Got some good stuff. Currently working my way through Dark Tales from Every State. Connecticut is the next one up.
um, I've always heard that the Allendale Mansion. I'm sure you're familiar with that in Kingsport. It's home. Well, it's that. I think it's technically Churchill. It's a.
I've heard of it. I've never been there, but can you enlighten us? Can you tell us some more about it?
Uh, yeah. Well, it's in Kingsport, Tennessee. It's they've got like uh an estate looking house, and then near it they've got like an older looking house and a barn. They do ghost hunts, or not ghost hunts, but they do the every year they do the like they redo the barn to make it like a haunted attraction, and people come and pay and they go through there and get the daylight scared out of them. I'm trying to think of when it may have been built. I'm not sure when it was built. Um, but it's like in one of the little busiest areas there, going to Kingsport. It's 4444 Stone Drive in Kingsport. I do know that. Um, a lot of people use it for weddings and other celebrations. Uh, a lot of weddings. You can go by there at any given time and see people just all decked out, flowers and arrangements everywhere. As far as the haunted history, I don't know that much about it. but I've always heard that it's reportedly haunted. Um, I have some things written here about it if I can find it. I just can't recall. I'm sorry about that. Um, have you heard anything about it? I know that you're familiar with that area.
I've heard of it, but I really don't know other than it's purported to be haunted. I don't know of any particular hauntings or any of the details, but most places like that, if people say that it's haunted, there's something that's gone down there.
I would like to know some more personal accounts. I mean, yeah, well, the lore of the legend, Um, it's a beautiful little place, though. I mean,
Definitely. Okay, let me see what else I've got on my list here. Next up, one that I'm very familiar with, the Bijou Theater in Knoxville.
yes.
Historic theater said to be haunted by several ghosts, including a former stagehand and a young girl. Staff and visitors have reported seeing apparitions, hearing strange noises, and feeling cold spots. And I got some more information about it. It's at 803 South Gay Street, Knoxville, Tennessee. And they've got a wonderful website, knoxbijou.org. On the history tab, it gives you all information about it. In 1801 to 1856, it was one of the premier hotels in Knoxville. Began as the Lamar House, and sitting on a parcel of land once granted to Revolutionary War General James White. And there's James White Fort there in Knoxville, too. It's believed to be the oldest commercially active property in Knoxville, probably in Tennessee. And then during the Civil War, 1857 era, ownership of the building again changed hands. This time to Colonel William H. Sneed, the owner of an adjacent property, and he leased the building for profit, and the hotel passed through a succession of tenants. Still, the Lamar House continued to serve as the center of the Knoxville social scene and underwent still more opulent remodeling. And that was years 1857 to 1908. And then 1908 to 1935, vaudeville came to Knoxville. In 1908, the Auditorium Company purchased the property and began renovations to remodel and transform the ballroom into a theater named Jake Wells Bijou Theater, the first time that the Bijou name was attached to the original Lamar House building. The Lamar House would continue to operate as a hotel, store, and restaurant. It was financed by three of Knoxville's prominent citizens, C.B. Atkin, Mrs. Jeanette Cowan, and W.G. Brownlow. Managing partners, Jake Wells and Fitz Straub. Little Knoxville history there for anybody playing along. And then 1935 to 1969, Paramount Pictures distribution subsidy in 1935 took a 30-year lease on the Bijou and operated as a movie house to show second runs and holdovers of films that had already been shown at the Tennessee Theater, which is basically just catty corner across the street. And it's one of those Art Deco gyms. It's a real show place. The cinema still on occasion did turn the stage over to touring performers and orchestras, saw many notable performers. Then in 1965, when their 30-year lease was up, Paramount Pictures decided not to renew, and it became an adult movie house. It was changed to the Bijou Art Theater.
Yeah.
And then in the early 70s, it was bequeathed to the Church Street United Methodist Church. They were going to tear it down. They were unhappy about owning a once ill-reputed place. They sold it to a Knoxville businessman. And then it was finally closed due to unpaid rent and amusement taxes. And then in 2005, the mayor at that time, Bill Haslam, brought it back. And they 2006, the doors opened again. And it's remained so with a Healthy Board Management Company. But it is very, very, very haunted. There's a restaurant there called the Bistro at the Bijou. I was in there at a function once when I was going to law school. And I couldn't get to the bathroom because there was another party of people there and I couldn't squeeze through. So I went out to go to the bathroom in the lobby. I knew there was a bathroom out there, but the lights were off. I couldn't find the bathroom. So I thought, well, I know there's one up on the mezzanine. So I don't know what possessed me, but I went up the steps toward the mezzanine in the dark. And on the staircase there, I felt just a light touch caress my arm. So I turned around and headed my ass back down the stairs.
In a hurry.
went outside and around and peed on the behind the dumpster or something there. But at another time, I was in there at night, and I heard sounded like somebody. I was in the restaurant, the bistro, and that time I went out to use the bathroom, and the bathroom was just right there in the lobby. I don't know how I missed it the previous time, but this time I heard what sounded like somebody rehearsing for a play. It sounded like two performers, a man and a woman, and they were trading lines back and forth. And I thought, well, I'm just going to peek in on this. I opened one of the doors into the theater, black, totally black. All I could see was the exit sign in the back of the theater. As soon as I cracked the door open, the voices stopped. And Cathedra, the hair stood up on my arms. I knew I'd
Absolutely.
interrupted something there. And
Mhm.
also, that's one of those places, along with the Tennessee, where there's somebody that sits up in the balcony when there's not supposed to be anybody up there. A lot of theaters have that type of ghost. But
Oh yeah, and they have
another time I'd gone in there, I was with some people, and I didn't experience anything that time. But the person I was with, they took their daughter into the ladies' room, and I heard them. I thought they were laughing, screaming, going on. Came out, they were scared crazy. They were in a stall, and the next stall, which there was nobody in because they looked when they went in there. They heard it flush, and then the door shut, and then the water turned on the sink. They opened their stall and looked out, and the water's on at the sink, and there's nobody in there. So they finished their business up, ran out screaming. But now that's the Bijou Theater in Knoxville, Tennessee.
I found some of my notes here for the Allendale Mansion.
Okay.
It was constructed just in the early 1900s. Um, it's an opulent mansion. It's supposedly haunted by a distraught bride who will not stop looking for her lost love. It's got enormous halls said to evoke sense of sorrow, um, and haunting apparitions for been spotted by visitors. Um, it's The attractiveness is enhanced by heartbreaking tale of the lovelorn bride. That's in quotes, so I must have got that from somewhere. Um, but yeah, it's just a tragic love story, and it was built in the early 1900s. Now,
Amazing.
the Visu Theater, you that's in one of your books, I believe, too.
Yeah, pretty much that story that I just told. It's I talk about it in my Strange World, among my personal paranormal experiences.
Now, Steve, I'm going to mention a hospital here, but that reminds me of when you recently mentioned a haunted hospital that used to be up near a place where you lived. They recently opened to the public for ghost hunting. I forget the name of it. I think the town might have started with an R, Rainier, or no, wait, what is it? Do you remember?
No, jog my memory here. I'm trying to think. Was it when I lived in the Pacific Northwest?
No, I think it was like around Knoxville or Cades Cove in that area. Uh, it's a haunted hospital. I was thinking the name started with an R.
I am totally drawing a blank here, Casita.
Mm, I'll look through my notes here too, see if I can find that. One hospital though is relatively popular. It's been on several ghost shows, and they've got this wall where they sign their name. Visitors sign their name. It's called the Old South Pittsburgh Hospital in South Pittsburgh, Tennessee.
Yeah, no, that's like if you're going south toward Atlanta, Chattanooga, that direction down in there. There's some other spooky stuff down there.
It's supposed to be full of former patients. The spectral remains, apparitions, footsteps, voices, just hang in the air.
Yeah. Now, I've got some stuff on the screen here that the audience can't see. Can you see the screen?
Yeah,
Okay. See my message there at the bottom.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But there's a Union Station Hotel in Nashville. And it blends elegance with persistent sense of sorrow as well. It's rumored that the opulent hallways in this hotel were haunted by the spirit of a young woman who tragically died. The quiet hours of the night, guests describe hearing eerie footsteps and seeing flickering lights. It's originally a busy train station. It's now a paranormal hotspot where guests are encouraged to spend time with unseen ghosts from another period. They invite anybody who's drawn to its eerie interior, as well as the mysterious shadows that dance there, even while the sounds of somber stories linger. Just book it, come on by. There's a plantation house too in Rosemont, Gallatin, Tennessee. It's a plantation house, antebellum charm. It has a sinister mystery. It's rumored that the original owner's daughter, Mary Adeline Henderson, haunts the grounds. Visitors have seen her apparition, dressed in white, which heightens the mansion's charm. There's stories of unfulfilled love there as well, a life snatched away. It's a monument to the feelings of people who've endured there through the years. Mary Adeline's ethereal presence creates lasting impressions, invites visitors to feel the lingering sadness of the past. Now, just touch on another prison, another popular place is the Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary in Tennessee. Now, it's got all kinds of stories attached to that one. The atmosphere is just spooky, it's a prison. You might catch sight of condemned individuals who've met their untimely ends there. Beyond its closure is dilapidated prison cells. I know that the cafeteria is rumored to be very haunted in it. There's accounts of chairs being violently slid across the room. There's been black figures spotted there, shadow figures. It'd be pretty frightening to see such things in the dark with just a little flashlight, or maybe even through a thermal imager. Infamous criminals, Martin Luther King Jr.'s killer James Earl Ray was there.
Yeah, Michael Laciana, who's
Is
been on
Max-
this show, he has some amazing EVP, electronic voice phenomena recordings.
That
from,
is one
Brushy.
scary place. Yeah, I definitely love to go there. It's got a sword past, yeah.
Yeah,
It's located in
I don't know
Pepsi.
that I would want to spend the night in there though.
No. Not trying to sleep or anything, but I would like to be there at night and have a quick getaway exit planned out
Yeah,
at all times. And now, if you just look up that place, it's set in between. There's like virtually no way to escape that without being seen. It's surrounded by very steep mountains behind it, on the either side of it, and all you can see is just the front, and then behind it, it's just covered in trees and stuff. It's like a sheer mountain. It just inset it right there for you. But there's other famous people. I just can't remember who.
that was a big one. James Earl Ray and
Yeah.
Tattoo Eddie was there too. He was the Rocky Top murders in Gatlinburg back in the 80s. He was the perpetrator of that, and Rocky Top Inn, where they've had hauntings and stuff. It's gone now. There's a Quality Inn or something in there, but where that was, they used to see just the legs of a lady running around the water fountain there in the back. They had a water feature out in the back parking lot, but it was tied to those murders. That was a scary thing. Also, that was on River Road in Gatlinburg. It's they've changed the name. I think it's this Historic Nature Trail Road or something now. But there was a Holiday Inn up there where there was some murders too, the Holodome, and that was haunted. And there was like a kitchen thing down behind it, like that they used to entertain like kids and things. That was haunted too. The guy that worked there, he was the chef or something. He died, and they'd still see him in there after. There's a lot of haunted stuff in Gatlinburg
Mm-hmm.
and Sevierville and Pigeon Forge, that whole area up there.
Now, we've all heard of Crybaby Bridges. There's a
Yeah, those are everywhere. Every little community, every wide spot in the road,
Yeah.
especially down south, has got a crybaby bridge or a lady in white that walks the bridge. And there's some other crybaby stories. My granddad on my mom's side, he used to tell of a crybaby house where a lady went crazy and buried her baby in the basement. And they said on a stormy night you could hear it crying in the basement. And he and some other guys actually heard that. So I don't know, scary stuff.
There's one that's at the just across the Tennessee state line in Columbus, Kentucky. It's right there at the
Yeah.
state line.
And up near Mountain City, there's one up there too, out in Johnson County. I can't remember where it's at, but a lady. I don't think it's a crybaby bridge, but a lady in white bridge. And then there's another one up there where supposedly somebody's entombed in the cement where they were building the bridge. That was the rumor that I heard. So you get to get into these little communities. There's all kinds of rumors and stories and legends and things. I love that. I mean, just little wide spots in the road, but they've got stories to tell. And a lot of times it's unheard of outside that little community. So, and I've talked about that when I do travel. That's you want to go to the old folks' homes and talk to those people. They know all the stories and legends. And you want to go wherever the young people hang out, the skateboard parks and things like that, and say, hey, if you were going to go parking, where's a good haunted spot?
Yep. Definitely. They're daredevils. They dare you to go stay in there. Kids will be kids.
I got another one here called the Lotz House, and that's spelled Lotz, but it rhymes with boats. Built in 1858 in the Middle Tennessee town of Franklin, which Tennessee used to be the state of Franklin. I think Tennessee part of North Carolina.
I believe that's like one of the oldest towns, Franklin.
Yeah. And this Civil War era house was the site of a bloody battle, and it's said to be haunted by the soldiers who died there. Visitors have reported seeing apparitions, hearing footsteps, and feeling cold spots. And that's one thing about Tennessee. There's all these, there's big battles, we'll get to some of those in a minute, but there was little skirmishes and stuff. And in places even like Fort Sanders there in Knoxville, the Battle of Fort Sanders, there's a lot of bloodshed there. There was a ditch that they had dug, and supposedly they shot so many people and they fell in the ditch that the next wave could walk over the corpses to get up the hill. So no wonder there's hauntings in a place like that.
There's a little bit of everything in Tennessee. There's cryptid stories, UFO stories, ghost stories. I mean, it's a melting pot of everything.
There's one, I believe it was either from Middle or West Tennessee, that I remember seeing when I was a kid. A picture of a kangaroo in a farmer's cornfield. And you and I both know that kangaroos aren't indigenous to Tennessee. So in the 1950s, where did kangaroo come from? There's always that story about a circus train or a private zoo where they escaped, but who knows? But there was a picture of it just happily bounding through a cornfield.
There's a story of a ghost doctor around where the Rutherford Mansion was. It's on Netherland Inn Road. A highway ghost, Bristol Highway. There is a haunted, it's said to be haunted by a lone dog, a family pet that's brutally killed by the notorious outlaw John Merle.
Yeah, no, that's something I've heard stories of, is ghosts of pets and things. I've got a story in Things and Strange Things in the Woods where there was a dog that these people would see after it passed away, and it basically appeared to everybody except the guy that it belonged to. But his brother saw it, his children saw it, his parents saw it, but he never saw it. But they'd always see it like just going around the corner of the house or at the edge of the woods or something like that. But I think animals can come back. Now, I've told the story about the guy back in the 80s. I spent the night at his house and slept in a spare room. Sometime during the night, I felt a cat come jump up in the bed, curled up down at my feet, purring. Next morning, I get up and he's cooking breakfast. I said, if you're looking for your cat, it spent the night with me last night. He looked at me strange and he said, Steve, he said, that cat's been dead for years. But I felt it. And he said he had felt it too and heard it and never had seen it. But I mean, it was clear that it jumped up on the bed and curled up purring at my feet. I just assumed it was a cat.
Yeah, you can feel like the depression and even some heat or vibration of the purr. I've heard
Yeah.
such things. It's very strange. It can be comforting, but it can also be upsetting.
Yeah,
You know?
if I'd known that the cat wasn't there
Well, yeah, yeah.
anymore,
That's
that
upsetting.
would have scared the life out of me.
According to legend,
But true story.
the lone dog that was brutally killed was that outlaw. According to legend, one foggy
You're
night.
fading out there just a little bit, Cathedra. I don't know if it's your microphone or.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better.
Oh, okay. But as the story goes, in like 1922, on a foggy night, 5 men were joyriding in a Model T down Rogersville Pike near Rutherford Bridge when a dog ran out in front of them. The driver swerved to miss the animal, and they crashed into the bridge. I mean, and there was no animal, but he saw it to the point where he's swerving to miss it and crashes. No, there was no animal anywhere. I don't know why a ghost dog would cause anybody to want to run out in front of somebody
Yeah.
the rig, but if it's like the stone tape theory, it could just be reliving its last moments or something.
Could have been anything. Or sometimes I think it's from another dimension or something like that, a different timeline or something that I don't think every ghost is a spirit or even a ghost, if you know what I mean.
Well, 2 of those boys that when people arrived, 2 of the guys, there was 5 of them. 2 of them were already deceased, and
And outside of Oak Ridge, there where I used to live, there was a place where a guy on a motorcycle had ran through a barbed wire fence and cut his head off back after the war. And they claimed that you could back up in this dirt road and put your backup lights or something on, and you could see the guy's head in the bushes. And I went with a bunch of people. They were teenagers. It was my best friend and his older sisters, who was teenagers, and their boyfriends. And we might have been 10, but we went along with them. And they backed up in there. Sure enough, there was something back in there that looked like a head. There was screams and yelling and crying, and we got out of there. But that's close to Melton Hill Lake there in Oak Ridge, going toward Clinton on what they call the River Road past Bull Run Steam Plant.
There's a ghost of a man that's seen on foggy nights too on Nether Linden Road. He wears his trench coat, a fedora hat, a white scarf. He steps out into the middle of the road, waving his arms. People swerved and.
Yeah, I heard something like that also in the Solway community there in East Tennessee. Guy was coming around a curvy country road there at night, came around this blind curve and what looked like somebody standing in the road, and then he drove through it. Whatever it was like a spirit or something, because he thought I hit somebody, but just went right through it and had no idea what that was. But yeah, he drove through what appeared to be somebody in the road. But that it didn't hit anything. It was a specter, a shade, or a spirit, or whatever you want to call it. That was close to Beaver Creek there, where they've heard phantom horses down in that area. There were some guys that had robbed the depot there in Solway, the Strongbox, back in the railroad days, and they took off up that way and hid out. There's a cave up there, and their initials and the dates still scratched in the wall there, and they caught up with them and killed them. But they say at night you can hear those hoofbeats and hear horses run through there. My dad had heard them before. I never was in there at night. And then right across from where that was, there's a church cemetery that's haunted. I've talked about now that's not the Beaver Ridge Cemetery. This is a different one, but some old Methodist cemetery. But talk about that in My Strange World.
But somebody had saw this man standing, it's foggy, and he steps out waving his arms and stuff. somebody actually says, swore that they hit this person. It's an apparition. It was wet pavement. The car struck the man, and terrified, he pulls off the road, walks back to the spot where the man had been standing. There was nobody there.
It was like the one story I got where something was crawling across the road, and they thought it looked like a man in a wetsuit. They hit it, and there was blood on the car. They went back and looked, but they couldn't find anything. Now that's creepy. And then Cisco's got a story from about the same area where her and her mom were driving through, and they saw something on the side of the road. And she's got another story where she saw a baby foot, like a baby Bigfoot, sitting on the side of the road looking sad. So there's all kinds of stuff out on the sides of those country roads. As Cisco likes to say, there's all kinds of shit out there.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
You got to hear her say it, though. Just imagine her saying that in her voice. That's just,
yeah, I did.
That's a quote. I'd like to have that on a T-shirt.
She talks about all kinds of stuff herself. I mean, she'll do ghosts too.
Yeah, she's been doing some stuff for spooky season, a lot of old-time radio creepy stuff, Vincent Price and CBS Mystery Theater. But check out her YouTube channel, listeners. It's Journey Through the Gate Paranormal Portal Podcast with Cisco Murdoch on YouTube. I think she's on Rumble, too.
Yeah.
Well, Kathita, we've reached the halfway point. Going to take a little break here. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. And going to do a commercial message here, and then either coming up, you'll hear Shutters from Lee G from First Floor Audio, or you may hear Kathita's own song that Lee wrote for her, Kathita Cat Gray, a.k.a. Love Online, if he gives me permission to play it. But either way, you'll hear a commercial, and then you'll hear a song from Lee G, First Floor Audio. We'll be back right after this.
Attention all Ground Zero fans. Aftermath.media is celebrating our 4-year anniversary with a spectacular deal just for you. For a limited time, you can get an Aftermath Premium Yearly subscription for only $79. That's right, just $79 for a full year of exclusive content, ad-free listening, and premium features. Dive into a world of incredible stories, top-tier journalism, and the best in entertainment. Whether you're a longtime listener or new to Ground Zero, this is the perfect time to join the Aftermath family. Don't miss out on this amazing anniversary special. Visit Aftermath.media today and sign up for your Aftermath Premium Yearly subscription at just $79. But hurry, this offer won't last long. Celebrate with us and elevate your media experience to the next level. Aftermath.media, the ultimate resource for parapolitical and paranormal fans. Visit Aftermath.media and subscribe today. That's Aftermath.media.
And that's Lee G from First Floor Audio with Shutters here on Everything Out There. I'm Steve Stockton. We're back for the second hour. Guest tonight, East Tennessean, and may even be related, Catheta Cat Gray in the Rogersville area. I don't think she'll mind me talking about where she's from. Waiting for her to come back here. Now, we were talking about the Bijou Theater there in Knoxville, and I briefly mentioned right across the street from that is the Tennessee Theater. It's kind of catty corner across the street. And that's another one of those Art Deco gyms, and it's haunted too. And that's where Hank Williams' final performance was. He had performed there, and then they took him to the Andrew Jackson Hotel, Andrew Johnson Hotel, and brought him down out there. And he was so drunk he couldn't walk, and they wheeled him out on a luggage cart. And I think a doctor or something gave him some kind of medication or something, probably morphine. I think Hank had a morphine. Hank Sr. had a morphine addiction. And by the time they got to Chattanooga, I think it's Chattanooga, he was already deceased, or maybe somewhere, maybe it's Kentucky or Virginia. Anyway, wherever he was going to, he was deceased. And there have been people that claim that they've seen him in the Tennessee Theater. And then I also spoke to one fella who swears that he saw him walking down the sidewalk in front of the theater, headed toward the hotel, and just kind of faded out of sight. Creepy story there about Hank Sr. And his ghost gets around the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville, former home of the Grand Ole Opry. May still be, I don't know. Used to be anyway, and then they moved it around, maybe back there. But they've seen him there backstage. And there was some country artist, I can't think of who it was, that was playing one night, practicing before the show. And said, I think Hank would have liked that. And I said that time all the lights went out, and then they came back up. So that was Hank either voicing his pleasure or displeasure. I think the artist said that he thought that it meant Hank liked it. But he's just one of those tragic figures in country music that still out there and around and about. There's never be another like Hank Sr. What do you think, Catheta? You ever heard of any hauntings of Hank? Okay, we're still waiting on Catheta to come back.
I am back.
There she is. Now she's back. I was talking about the ghost of Hank Williams Sr.
Oh. Can you repeat that? I want to hear a little about that.
No, I was talking about the ghost of Hank Williams Sr. and how he'd been seen at the Ryman Auditorium and in and around the Tennessee Theater there on Gay Street in Knoxville, which is kind of catty-cornered from the Bijou Theater that I was talking about there earlier.
Okay.
So what else you got out there on your list, Catheta?
Oh, there's haunted colleges too. Like the college my daughter goes to is haunted, but I'll talk about there's Kingsport. It's 20 miles from Kingsport, like around the line. There's Bristol, Virginia. There's Bristol, Tennessee. The Virginia Intermont College.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about that one. Now another one in that area, in the Tri-Cities area, ETSU.
Yeah.
That campus is haunted. I've been up there, didn't see anything, but I heard plenty of stories. So what do you got there about the one that your daughter goes to?
She's wondered if it's haunted. She had one room. She switched rooms a few times, dorms, but she had one. No matter what was going on, it stayed hot in there, always hot, and she knew that something just wasn't right. She kept feeling like a little bit of oppression or sadness, and she wasn't. There's nothing affecting her. I thought, well, maybe it's just stress, or blah. I was kind of worried about her, like, what's going on? Lo and behold, she switches dorms, complete change, turnaround. It beats me, but just very odd. I said, do you think maybe it's kind of, I mean, I don't want to sound like, oh, mom, you're crazy. Have you think, oh, mom, you're crazy, because that's like, you talk about that stuff all the time. I said, do you think it might be haunted? She says, I'm seriously wondering. I mean, that's how to the point it got. She was concerned, like, okay, something else is going on here. It kind of spooked her a little bit. But yeah, she's in a different dorm now, and nothing like that's occurred. She feels a lot better.
Yeah, there's some places there at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, my alma mater, that were haunted. Some of the dorms and some of I think the bathroom in the basement of the student center. There was a guy that passed away down there from alcohol poisoning back in the 80s, and I think they've heard and seen stuff down there. And then all kinds of areas in and around. Again, that's Fort Sanders is in that area, and a lot of spooky stuff there.
This one chick at the Virginia Intermont College. Now, rumor has it that she had an affair with a professor, and she hung herself. She's distraught, and when she did so, she knocked a lamp over and started a fire. The building's been fully restored, but there's times in the room that she appears, and the room looks like it's in a charred state. It's like it's burned. So it's like the room's remembering what happened or something. It's kind of strange.
Yeah, I've heard of stuff like that before, where something that happened in the past will kind of bleed into the future sometimes. Not all the time, but just sometimes, I guess, maybe as they say, when the veil is thin.
Mm-hmm.
And that's coming up. We're in spooky season here. It's October 4th, the night that we're recording this. It'll play on the 6th. But it's begun for 2024. You got any plans for this month and around Halloween or anything and like that, Kathita?
Well, actually, I have been thinking of something. A mutual friend of ours mentioned some things to me here recently. I think I've got something in mind to do. Ted Branston. And, one with encouragement from another mutual friend.
Shout out to Ted, all the way in Scotland, him and his dog Connor. He's a big fan of all my shows and yours too.
Well, he kind of mentioned, doing something with old stories and old movies. And I have something in mind. I might, I actually may be in character, let's say.
Now, is that going to be on your Ghost Lore YouTube channel?
Yeah, rather that, or I'll make a similar channel, like Ghost Lore Nor or something, Ghost Lore.
Ghost Lore and more. There you go. Ghost
Lore
Plus, Ghost Lore After Dark. There's all kinds of ways you can go with that. But tell us a little bit about Ghost Lore, and I'll put a link to that in the show description. But tell us what you're doing over there on your Ghost Lore channel.
Well, I don't have much content on there. I'm not in a big rush. I've got little pet projects here and there I've been working on, but I do have some stuff to unload on the channel. There's one thing.
Now, I think before it was when you were here before. It's before you had the one about the ghost that came to court. Could you give us a brief repeat of that for our listeners?
Elvazona Heister married Imrus Edward Trout Stribling Shoe. They were married less than 3 months. He was a fine employee at a blacksmith shop. The blacksmith owner's name was James Cruikshank, and he was a likable man. The name Trout, I'm not sure where he derived that nickname, but through my research, I think maybe he got it from a nearby place called Trout. There's a Trout Falls, Trout Spring, I believe, an area named Trout. And he had relatives here and there. And through traveling and stuff, I think he probably visited that place a lot and probably got that nickname there. But yeah, Ghost Lore. The first short I've made for the channel is about the ghost of Greenbrier. Well, Elvazona Heister married Immerse Edward Trout Stribling Shoe. They were married less than 3 months, and she was dead. And she was buried. About a month or so later, Elva's mother, Mary Jane Huster, has reports that her daughter came to her on 4 nights and little by little told her and showed her what her husband had done to her because there was no meat made for supper. And she was mostly silent, but she would turn her head completely around. This is the report. And, she had a broken neck. And eventually the husband was charged for murder and he was sentenced to jail. And he died in jail a few years later. But it's the first case that was taken to court where an actual sentencing occurred from reports of a ghost. The mother was telling the story, of course, but her story was that of the supposed ghost of her daughter. So a ghostly account in the court of law leads to a sentencing, and a man sentenced to jail, and he dies a few years later. It's from Greenbrier County. Like I said, he was a blacksmith. She, I think, was just a housewife. She'd had a prior relationship with a man. His last name was Woldridge. They had a baby, but he couldn't support a wife and child. It was reported he didn't have much money or a job. And to this day, nobody knows that I have found out. Nobody knows what's happened to the baby. There's no accounts of the baby in any history books. I don't know if the baby, died, like from SIDS or anything. I don't know if the child lived a few years and then a tragic accident occurred. I'm not sure. But I used to think that the story is from like England or somewhere, and I found out it's pretty much like a couple hours from here is where it happened, from where I'm at. And I just kept thinking about the story, and I kept hearing about the story. Little YouTube videos would come on. Well, I finally started researching it, and it just happens to be the first story I decided to do for YouTube. I'm still working on the follow-up video. The holdup is when I started doing the story, I had a death in the family, which was my father. He died Christmas Eve, and so that put things on hold. And then I got back into it, and then I had to do all kinds of fact checking, and there was a lot of things that I felt were not correct or in error. So I actually went to some archives, and they contacted me. And they let me know that yes, I could do this and that with the information, and actually supported me. And so I almost had to do 3/4 of the whole story over. It's just a simple little thing. You can email archives, and be notified and say, yes, you can do it. Just that little bit of permission will save you a lot of hot water later down the road anyway. Like I was talking about these haunted colleges, I've saw some stories about the college my daughter went to. These guys were in their dorm laying in bed, and they had like some kind of little action figure hanging up on the wall. They kept it there, and it got moved, and they could not find it anywhere. They kept looking for it. They look everywhere. They emptied their pockets. Man, I don't have it. I don't have it. They were pretty upset about it. But later they look up, and there it is. It's sitting right back where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, how about that?
Is this missing all of a sudden? And now I've had that happen to me. I don't know.
Yeah,
if that's
I've lost stuff here in our house, and I know it's here in the house, and suddenly go back into a room, and there it is, right in plain sight.
Yeah,
and,
or you find things in the strangest locations.
Yeah,
You would
and
never
I
think.
know I didn't put that there. I didn't leave it there.
I mean, like for me, I found my car keys once in the bottom of a trash can. And that's how far I went through the house. That tells you I went through everything. And I
Yeah.
found them in the bottom of a trash can, up underneath the plastic bag, mind you, too. Now, that had to be a prank nobody ever admitted to, but oh my goodness, yeah, I spent 2 hours looking for car keys. The only thing I can figure is they got knocked off the counter, but I don't know how they got up under the plastic garbage bag. I mean,
Or have you ever done the one like where you're looking for your glasses and then you realize they're on top of your head?
yes, I've done
I've
that
done
with my
that
keys,
one.
my cell phone. Yep.
Yeah, one time I was looking everywhere for my car keys and they were in my hand.
Oh yeah.
And I've done that with a wallet and a cell phone.
See,
Another time when I was in high school, I
Friday and
was
I freak
driving a
out and-
pickup truck. I was on the way to school, and I had my I carried my keys like on a C clip on my belt buckle, and or on my belt loop, and I reached for them, and I'm like, I've left my keys at home. I've got to turn around and go back. And then it occurred to me, well, dummy,
Well, how'd you get there?
how did I get in the truck and get it started? They're hanging out of the ignition. So there you go. The brain is an amazing thing sometimes, or maybe not so amazing.
Like this Mandela effect. Are we really misremembering things that much to where
I've got my doubts. The one that I've thought of that I've never heard anybody mention is Crossman BB guns. I had a Crossman BB gun. I had Daisy and some of the others, but I had a Crossman BB gun back when I was a kid. It was spelled Crossman. Now it's Crosman, one S. I don't remember it having one S. I believe it had two.
Well, when I heard,
But I looked on the website. It's been that way forever. So who knows?
Huh. There's another one that is fairly new to me. Was what color is Mickey Mouse's shoes?
I believe they were yellow.
Well, ding, ding, ding. Okay, what about the A-Team, the old show, the A-Team? What color was the van?
I think it was black with a red stripe.
There you go. Like an orangish red, zigzaggy. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
no. They say that the top of it was gray, the bottom was black. Or
I
that it
don't
was
remember it
all-
like that. Not in my timeline. I
Nope.
used to have like a little Hot Wheels or a Johnny Lightning or something of the 18 van. It was black with a red lightning bolt thing on it.
I had one of the extra large, chunky, like kind of almost like maybe a doll, but it's just an action figure, the rubber material
Yeah.
of Mr. T. Oh, I wish I still
I
had
pity the fool that don't play with my action figure.
He had the chains and everything on, and
Yeah.
I don't know where I got that or why. I think it was a gift for somebody else, and they said, "Oh, you can have it. They're not going to get it. You can have it, or something, you know." And I used to crack up my sister with that when I was a kid, saying, "I pity the fool," you know, it's acting like Mr. T. That may bring a pretty penny these days.
Yeah, some of those action figures. I wish I had some of my G.I. Joes from the 60s and my Captain Action figure, and I had a bunch of stuff like that. Johnny West. There's a lot of action figures back then.
Little do we know how what we behold until many moons later.
Yeah.
I mean, we enjoy things when we have them.
Yeah, enjoyed playing with it, and thought about maybe buying vintage stuff like that and putting it up for Holden, but he might not even like it. He might want whatever is popular currently. So who knows? I don't even know if kids still play with action figures.
Some of the strangest things are collectibles too, like Beanie Babies or Pez dispensers even. Those little
I had a
trolls.
big collection of Pez dispensers at one time back in the 90s. I had over 100 of them, and I auctioned them off on eBay just as a one lot. And I got a pretty penny out of it because I had some rare ones because I'd had them some of them since childhood. So, but another Mandela effect, the Fruit of the Loom underwear.
Oh,
do you remember it having a cornucopia?
Yes, it sure did.
I sure do, but now it doesn't, and they say it never did.
Somebody's lying somewhere, or I'm on a different planet or realm, district. Something's going on.
I remember the cornucopia. Now they say it doesn't exist. Never did.
I distinctly remember it because my mama used to have a notepad. She got for like around Thanksgiving once or something, and I remember seeing the cornucopia with they had pumpkins and had some fruits or something spilling out of it. I remember thinking when I was a kid, that's the same thing as the tags on those clothes and things over there. It's the same thing. Well, I didn't know it's not a cornucopia, but I do remember recognizing it on clothing and stuff.
Yeah,
So
my mom had one that she used as a centerpiece for Thanksgiving. It was a wicker cornucopia, and it had the little pumpkins and leaves and stuff, plastic,
yeah,
spilling out of it. And I said that to her. I was just a little kid, and I said, the table looks like the tag in my underwear. And
there you
my
go.
dad thought it was funny. My mom didn't appreciate it too much. But, I wouldn't have said that if it was just fruit laying there. I distinctly remember cornucopia.
Yep. And just ordinary things. I mean, we remember it though. I mean, I know that the mind can change. Like if I'm wearing a red shirt now, in 2 3 years, my mind will literally swear it has a memory of me wearing a purple shirt,
Yeah.
even though I mean it's just the way the mind works.
And Mandela itself himself, I remember when he died the
Yeah.
first time. I was working at a restaurant in West Knoxville, and I remember a guy and I at work talked about it. And then it never happened until he only died much later. That was back in the 80s or something.
Now I'd never heard that, but the thing that I thought maybe people were confusing it with, there was some movie out in the 90s, like some action movie, and it's like I don't know, it's political conspiracy, all this and that going on, and Mandela. There's somebody portraying Mandela, I believe, on the movie, and he was killed on the movie.
Yeah.
I thought maybe that's where people were getting that from, but no.
No, I remember we talked about it because it was on the news, and the
Yeah.
former presidents and stuff like that were paying their respects. And no, it wasn't a movie.
Yeah, I
And
heard more about it, and I'm like,
no,
well,
one movie though is the James Bond movie with the Jaws character, Richard Keel, the guy
Mhm.
with the metal teeth, where he goes in, he has a
yes,
moment there with the girl with the braces. Well, now she doesn't
oh,
have braces. That whole scene makes absolutely no sense now that she
right.
doesn't have braces.
That was the point. That was their little connection. They both had the braces. Yeah.
Right.
Um, yeah, I've been seeing that one lately. Yeah, she never had braces. Well, then what's the point of her smiling real big to show off her teeth then?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be like a insult
Yeah.
unless she had the metal braces, and that'd be like, okay, they got that little connection. They both have metal all over their teeth. They don't feel so. He
No,
can't feel
and
pain.
they had a moment there. And then later on, they made a commercial, like a American Express commercial with him in it. And it had a girl, maybe not the same girl, but a girl with braces that worked at the bank. Again, the same
Yeah.
thing, but supposedly never happened. Another one is the Bible verse about the lion laying down with the lamb. Doesn't
Mhm.
say that. Now it says the wolf laying down with the lamb. It never said that. When I was here, there used to be a Christian coffee house or bookstore that I'd go to called The Lion and the Lamb. And I'm sure it's still named that, but
Yeah,
where'd
I've
they
never
get
heard the
that?
wolf. No, I've not
I've
heard
never heard the lion or the wolf and the lamb.
Or there's all kinds of stuff.
There's
Now,
just,
some
there's
of
all
them
kinds of
don't
them.
do that.
I don't know if some people say the world actually did end in 2012, according to the Mayan calendar, and we split off on a different timeline. Didn't end for everybody, and that's why things are different. But there's things I remember but there's ones that I know that other people say are different, like Jif peanut butter. Other
Yes.
people say it's Jiffy. In my
Yeah.
timeline, it was never Jiffy. Now, there was a restaurant, a little burger joint called Jiffy Burgers that were similar to Crystal hamburgers that you have there in Tennessee and in the South. But the peanut butter was Jif, Jif, and Choosy Mothers Choose Jif. I remember that.
Yeah.
Same with Oscar Mayer. My baloney has the first name. It's
Now, that
OSCAR.
one,
Yeah.
yeah, that one confuses me. It's pronounced Meyer, but it's spelled like mayor.
Mhm. Yeah.
That one confused me. I caught that one here recently. I'm like, wait a second. How's that Oscar Mayer song go?
Yeah. My baloney has the first name. It's OSCAR. My baloney has the last name. It's MAYER.
Hmm. Now, some can be proven, like Mirror, Mirror, the Snow White.
Yeah, mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? Now it's like what magic mirror on the wall or some crap
Yeah.
like that. It never
Yeah.
said that. I'm sorry.
A German book or something. Somebody states that that it says that in, and they have the book or something. I'm like, well, okay, you can explain one or two. There's the Bernstein or Bernstein Bears. Which is it? It's spelled EI or IE, and everybody's like, no. there's somebody that supposedly has an old cell phone, and when they look through it, they see things the way things used to be, like the Monopoly Man or Mr. Peanut, the monocle, or
Yeah.
a cane and
And
glass.
according to this, despite popular belief, the Monopoly Man never wore a monocle, but yet people remember him with one.
Yeah,
And
it seems familiar to me.
the Berenstain Bears, Berenstain. I remember Berenstain, but some people say it's Berenstain. And then
I just remember
Shazam, the movie Shazam with Sinbad as a genie, but apparently no such movie exists, but people remember it. Then the Star Wars one, Luke, I'm your father. No, he actually
Yeah.
says, no, I'm your father. But I remember, Luke, I'm your father.
There you go.
Hello, Clarice from Silence of the Lambs.
Oh no, they can't mess that up. What's the ruling on that one?
He didn't say it.
What? I can hear it in my head. Hello, Clarice. Or he says, "Good morning, Clarice," or something to that effect.
Yeah.
When she walks in, he's right there.
Hello,
behind-
Clarice is a Mandela effect example, meaning that many people remember Hannibal Lecter saying this line to Clarice Sterling in The Silence of the Lambs, the 1991 movie, when he actually just says, good morning. No, he says, hello, Clarice.
He says her name, and
My
she
daughter
just
remembers that too. She wrote it on the inside one of the kitchen cabinets with a Sharpie one time. You open it up, it said, hello, Clarice. I thought, that's funny. So
it is mind-boggling, baffling even. That word's popping up everywhere for me. Baffling. There's some about Sunkist and some for like I can't remember which shoe company. It's Reebok or Nike. I can't remember which one. It's or Fanta. It's the spelling on it. Was it FAANTA or FA? And I'm like, it's always FA. It's always been FA. So I think some of them may be made up. I'm not sure.
And then the Ford logo, it does. People remember it having a curly Q on the F, but then it's always been a straight line. CPO's leg in Star Wars, it's always been gold, but they remember it being a silver line. And the Forrest Gump line, that one's just a little off. Instead of life is like a box of chocolates, where his mother said life was like a box of chocolates. So then the Queen song, We Are the Champions, it supposedly ends with Of the World, but it just fades out now. So I don't know.
Why are they always messing with us? I mean, yeah, the point of the Mandela effect is a large portion of people will remember things a certain way while another portion equally do not, and which is right or which is wrong.
Yeah.
Or they both.
Do you think, though, that many people can misremember that many things?
I mean, I think there's something to it. Definitely something to it.
Definitely. Like I said, with the Crossman BB gun, that's just one of my personal observations, but I know it had 2 S's in it.
But why they want to deny it is.
And I've asked people that.
I mean, it's obvious that, yeah, they can go and change things for political correctness or, something, but to deny it and not give you any info on it, that's what I'm wondering about. What's behind it? What's going on? Why the hush hush?
Fascinating. Well, we kind of got off track there, but
but it's
fit. The show's called Everything Out There. This is some of the everything that's out there.
Just more strange things to add to it, I guess.
Now, last week I had Pastor Eric from Sound the Shofar Messianic Ministries on, and we talked about what all was going on with Diddy, a.k.a. Puff Daddy, a.k.a. Sean Combs. What's your take on all that? I just have to ask you.
I really don't have one. I've heard that there's something going on, and I've not.
It looks like there's some deep doo-doo going on with some of that stuff. It's like another Epstein situation. A lot of people are in a lot of trouble.
I just know that they're celebrities, and if they'll try to buy anything.
Yeah. Anyway,
It's always
scary
a
stuff.
possibility. Yeah. Back to the ghost stories.
Yeah, another one that I had on here on my list is Craig Font. Now it's
I saw
a
that.
mansion, I guess you will. It's a state historic site, said to be haunted by its former owner, General James Winchester, and his family. And that's in Castellian Springs. I hope Castellian Springs, Tennessee. I've never been there. Been through there. Visitors report seeing apparitions, hearing footsteps, and feeling cold spots. It's just another big old looking house, kind of a colonial there. Excuse me. And of course, Shiloh, the battlefield there.
Yeah.
Shiloh, Tennessee, the National Military Park. There's all kinds of spooky stuff there. Any of these Civil War places. Gettysburg seems to rule the roost. Cisco can talk on and on and on about Gettysburg.
Yes.
But it's one of those, there's apparitions. They hear a gunfire. They smell gunpowder, feeling uneasy in certain areas.
You can see like several soldiers, like a troop of them, misty figures walking by. Like cannon fire has even been heard. There is an Econo Lodge in Tennessee Mountain Inn.
Now, where's that at?
I'm not sure where it's at. That part I don't know. I'll try to find out. I think. Wait a minute. It's in Jefferson County, Tennessee.
All right.
Jefferson City.
Yeah.
There's Johnson City, but there's also Jefferson. Yes. Making sure I had the right one. Jefferson.
What was the place that used to have another name, and now it's called Rocky Top, Tennessee? They named the town that. That was Lake City. Lake City doesn't exist anymore. My dad used to work with a guy that had a restaurant up there. Had some of the best chili I've ever had. We'd go up there to get chili at his restaurant. That was in Lake City. Lake City doesn't exist. Several years ago, they decided to name it Rocky Top, Tennessee, after the song.
Was it Rock City, maybe? Rock City? Because I can remember
that's down by Chattanooga.
Okay, but the
See Rock
Tennessee
City.
Mountain
You used
Inn,
to see that on all the barn roofs.
it's in Jefferson City, Jefferson County, Tennessee. And there's a ghost of a little girl that's been seen on the balcony and in hallways by guests and employees alike. She's very sweet and friendly, but who she is the mystery. Nobody knows who she is. Just a ghostly little friendly girl.
Yeah, Lake City was formerly Coal Creek. It's kind of in the middle between Anderson and Campbell counties. Small town, 1,628 people as of the 2020 census. In 2014, they officially changed the name from Lake City to Rocky Top after a last-ditch effort by the copyright owners of the song Rocky Top, Felice and Budla Bryant, was denied by a federal court. There's some spooky places up there. And, there's an old mine there from the early 1900s, Cross Mountain mine or coal mine. They had child coal miners in there, and heard a lot of spooky stuff up there. Then there was nearby the Freighterville. If you've ever heard of that, there's a Freighterville mine disaster that happened in 1902. Supposedly still hear screams and wails and stuff inside there.
Those mines or something else. They call those the haunted noises and sounds, the Tommy knockers.
Yeah.
Usually it's a warning and you better get out because there may be a cave in. There's all kinds of reports about they hear.
Yeah, they say if you hear the Tommy knockers, you better hightail it.
Oh yeah, I believe I would.
Yeah, if I hear anything underground, I don't like that. I've been in caves and stuff. I've been in some haunted caves, but we talked about Bell Witch Cave. There's used to be Caverns of the Ridge there in Knox County. It's Cherokee Caverns was the other name of it. It's supposedly haunted. They always did that up real nice for Halloween and had a haunted walkthrough and stuff. But that is just creepy, being that far underground. That's part of the cave system there that connects into the Mammoth Cave system, which goes for miles and miles and miles and miles. Made a video about Mammoth Cave.
Yeah, sir. I believe you talked about that before. That might have been when it was still Among the Missing.
Yeah, I think it was.
I don't know if you've watched put that video on.
No, it's still on Tales Untold, but I think it still has some of the ATM logos and stuff on it. But that was just didn't really fit on uh, Missing Person Mysteries. I'm sitting here looking right at it, couldn't think of the name of it.
But more on Ghost Lord, the channel I've got. It's at Ghost Lord YT. It's a channel. It's anything ghost lore related, superstitions, old wives' tales, even what do you call like the witch doctors, anything spooky or anything haunted. I can even do like a few missing people reports where psychics have helped investigators in the cases because they supposedly talk to ghosts. Haunted real estate. There's, I want to do some. I want to do haunted churches. Story on haunted churches.
That'd be good.
Just things that's a little different, not saturated and slathered all over YouTube. Just not like a rehash. Just
yeah. There's so much stuff out there that's been same with these missing person cases. There's certain ones that I've done that everybody's covered, but I've got some new stuff on the way. So hopefully that haven't been done backwards and forwards. So I'm looking forward to that.
Now that first story, the short I made, I'm still working. I had to redo the whole thing basically. I still have some of the images and facts and stuff I still had, but a lot of things that I went and found on my own, it just didn't sit right with me, and I kept wondering about it. And I contacted some archives, or an archive place, and they gave me permission to use some information and stuff. And there were some things that I couldn't, I never found out if that was true or not, so I had to exclude that and take it out. And then my audio got messed up.
Oh no!
I've told a few people this story's haunting me. There's other stuff I've got made already ready to go, but I'm just trying to get this one finished first. But anything that's haunted related, spooky, anything woo, worldwide woo, I'm going to do it.
Love it.
And I've always loved the ghost topic, paranormal, supernatural. So I finally made a channel. I like the name. And I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and make that channel. That way I have that name, under my belt. Nobody takes that name because I was certain I wanted that name, Ghost Lore. And I thought, man, I'm going to mess around.
Yeah, that's a catchy name.
But now there is a game called that, and there is some channels called that. But as far as I found that there is no paranormal, supernatural story, haunted legends lore channel that has that name at all. It's all related to the game. So I got lucky, very lucky there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a classic name, I think.
It's not used as much as folklore, but it's folklore is easily understood. Ghost lore is the same thing. It's just anything about spooky ghost stuff. But yeah, I'm glad I went with a name. I made the logo for it, and
yeah, you did a great job on that logo, and you also made one for me for a project that I'm working on that I'm not disclosed yet, but
I
you did a good
remember
job with those.
Yeah, I just like those colors. It's kind of like I'm one of the colors that's your typical, like the green, blue, purple, gray, silvery, something that's associated with spooky stuff you might see in movies, or like the green and gray cemetery scenes or something. But these colors here, they're a little more vibrant, but I wanted eye catchy, and I think it's pretty good. It's colorful, but it's still related a little, basically to the title. I think it is anyway.
Yeah.
I think it blends good together. So, but well, now I've got a question for you.
Okay. Hopefully I've got an answer.
okay, you and Nicole, when you were married, you stayed at the second most haunted house in the state there. Um, and you were going to go over some evidence or maybe some audio, or I think that you were going to try to set up something to try to catch something spooky. Did you ever catch anything spooky from that?
No, we didn't catch anything. There's a place called the Carriage House. It's a bed and breakfast, but we did have some strange experiences. Mulder was with us, and I looked all over, couldn't find his leash to take him outside. And then I walked back in the bedroom, and there it was laying stretched out across the bed. I had not even had it in that room. It'd been out in the sitting room.
Let's see, that's like, well, that's more of what we were talking about.
Yeah, like with your watch there. And there's just, I don't know, it felt kind of strange in there, but it's a big old colonial there. And actually, where the bed and breakfast was, had been at the actual carriage house for the big house. But it was appointed very nicely. But yeah, we spent part of our honeymoon there and in Rhode Island.
I was hoping you would at least got one good photo or something.
Yeah, no, didn't had some experiences, but didn't catch anything.
Have you, in the state, since you've been there, have you found or saw anything worth mentioning that's very odd or strange? Like,
There's a cemetery that I'm going to do a video about called Spider Gates.
Spider Gates. Oh, that sounds good.
Supposedly haunted. There's a witch tree there, and it's has a portal to hell or something like that.
That's the third time this week I've heard something about a witch tree.
Yeah.
Third time this week.
And apparently they're common here in New England. Of course, I'm not that far from Salem, Massachusetts, so there you go.
He was talking about them. I saw a video on one, a witch tree of Kentucky, after Ted was talking about them. And then I watched that video, and now you're mentioning it. So, yeah, it's the third time this week. So.
And there's the one story about who put somebody in the witch elm or something like that. Where they found somebody murdered and stuffed in a tree. Did you ever heard that story?
Yep, that's off of. I saw it off of BuzzFeed.
Yeah,
right. Those two guys, they're funny. Ryan and Shane, I believe. I forget the name. Yeah, who put? It's something like Alma or maybe
something like. Let me look here real quick. Who put?
Nobody knew who she even was.
Who put the bump in the bump she bumped? That's not the right one. Who put in the witch elm? Who put Bella in the witch elm? Let's see. It's a Final Form series of graffiti connected with the discovery in 1943 of remains of a murdered woman inside a witch elm on the outskirts of Hagley in Worcestershire, England. The body has remained unidentified and the case unsolved since then, prompting many media articles and films, as well as dramas, an opera, and a musical. Wow.
They made an opera? Okay, an opera, but
probably need to make a video about that.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, that's the only time I believe I've heard of that story. It's from that channel. So that's probably not one, saturated everywhere, and it's a missing person.
It's been talked about, but I've never talked about it. I know of it just in passing, but it'd be worth looking into.
But me myself, I want to go to some haunted prisons. I want to go to haunted hospitals, and
yeah, there's just something about a haunted hospital that really gives me the willies. I don't like hospitals anyway, and a haunted hospital would just be times 10.
Be like facing two fears at once.
Yeah.
A hospital and a ghost,
I like the stuff, like haunted schools and haunted amusement parks. And, you expect a graveyard to be haunted. You expect certain things to be haunted, but I know haunted school, that really appeals to me. And I've been in a haunted school, Fairview Elementary, where I went to school, was haunted. And Brenda and I, long after we'd left there and was going to school elsewhere, ventured in one night, found it unlocked, and kind of trespassed. I'm sure the statute of limitations has run on it now. But we heard what sounded like a woman in high heels walking across the floor of his combination auditorium, gymnasium, and lunchroom, but had those windows way up high. The moon was shining in. We could see the whole place was lit up. There was nothing in there, but we could hear it coming toward us. And there were stories. It was haunted by the ghost of a former teacher. Some say she died at the school. Some say she died on the way home in a traffic accident. Still another was that she just died and then came back to haunt it. But there's definitely something in there. We didn't waste any time getting out of there. That's for damn sure.
Oh yeah.
I talk about that in my book, My Strange World.
Talking about you mentioned Franklin or something earlier, and I thought it was one of Tennessee's oldest towns. Well, the oldest town is Jonesboro.
Historic Jonesboro. That's home of the International Storytelling Festival, which happens in October. I've been there, not as a participant, just as an audience member, but that's some good stuff. Every single building on that main drag there in Jonesboro is haunted. Historic Jonesboro. They like for you to say it that way. I had a digital camera, and every picture I took there was some weird mist or apparition or something. And then before I could get back home, that memory card was wiped out. I wanted those pictures back. I sent it in for like a forensic place, and they said, this doesn't look like this has ever even been formatted, let alone had pictures on it. But yet I did, and they were gone.
People's evidence just
Yeah.
gone.
I mean, I had probably 100 pictures of weird stuff in historic Jonesboro. All gone. Strange. And some of those places, they'll tell you about their hauntings and their ghosts and stuff there. Now, I hope they did okay in the flood. Have you heard anything about Jonesboro?
No, I've not heard. Well, I mean, I may have. It's just I've heard little of this and little of that. I can't pry it apart to tell you if I have specifically about it.
Yeah. Well, again, God bless anybody in the wake of the floods and the hurricane, tsunami, whatever hit up there in that area. Asheville, I mean, that's up in the mountains. You don't think about Asheville as flooding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it still can.
I think they had some dams that gave way and stuff up there too. But God bless you people there in the mountains. Hope you get your power back. And I heard there's just a lot of devastation and incredible loss of lives and things. Just some of the reports I'm hearing out there, it's just devastating. Well, and on that somber note, Cathita, we've got about 5 minutes left here. Anything you want to add or say or tell people about? Now, I know you join us often, or join Lee often over on his show. I try to go over there too, especially on Saturday nights. But if anybody wants to see you and talk to you, that's probably the best place.
Yeah, Lee's live 6 Eastern, a few days a week there. He's on
Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
Yep.
First Floor Audio. I'll put a link in the description to that too. And that's some of his music you heard there at the break. I didn't hear back from him, so I don't know if he'll let me use the song that he wrote for you. But if not, you can go to his channel on Thursday or Saturday nights. Night Rider is what he does on Tuesday nights, where he writes an original track. But those other two nights,
they seem to like it.
You'll like it. But he wrote a song about Cathita. It's just called Cathita Cat Gray, aka Love Online. It's a hypothetical situation, but yeah, you just I'd convince you to come over there, and he does that. He'll pick people out of the audience and write a song about them, and
it's a peppy upbeat.
And that's a hit. That's got a hit all over it.
It sounds kind of like a movie song or something,
It does. It sounds like those 80s rom-coms, like the closing credits or something.
Yeah.
But he's a very talented singer, songwriter, musician, multi-instrumentalist.
Yeah, he's got instrumentals. He's got some slow love songs. He's got some harder stuff that's more like a rock song. Now, he does have this 80s quality vibe for him, about him. But for
I love the 80s. I came up in the 80s. I graduated high school in 1981. So
That's what
my
he likes and knows.
super
and-
formative years, my college years and stuff was in the 80s, and my favorite decade ever. My wife was born 1985. How about that?
There you
Hard
go,
to
Steve.
believe. Hard to
Congratulations.
believe.
there.
Thank you. Thank you. And now we've got a baby born in
Yeah.
2024.
Oh, he's so adorable. So stinking cute.
He is. He just, I don't care if he is my baby. He is absolutely adorable.
Yeah, either if it wasn't your baby or not, he's adorable.
Yeah, he's a precious. He's a Gerber baby. But if you want to see him, he'll be on Lee's show Saturday night. Of course, this will be Sunday that you hear this. He'll also be on with me Monday night on Cisco. I usually bring him on to say hi to people and then pass him back to Mama. But Cathita, once again, I want to thank you for being my guest. You're on everything out there. We'll put links in the show notes to Ghost Lore. Looking forward to whatever you got coming up over there. And I'll be seeing you tomorrow night, although it's in the past now that people are hearing this, but I'll see you Saturday night on Lee's show. I'm getting ready to do a late night live stream on Missing Persons Mysteries. Drop in over there if you can.
I'll come and drop some links too. I'm a mod, so I'll come over and drop some links. And
Yeah,
if
I
anybody
appreciate
would
you
like-
being a mod in there and dropping links to all the stuff I've got going on out there. My books on Etsy, my blog, Around the Campfire, all my channels, everything going on. Continue to
I'll
drop
drop the
links
gift
to it.
registry link too if anybody would like to, send a gift for your
Yeah,
son.
and I appreciate that. The baby's got a lot of stuff. I gotta go get show ready. I'm trying this with the round camera, so I'm gonna see how that works. I kind of
I kinda like
this has
it.
got me like in that spooky tree there.
When I turn my phone upright, there's like a purple, thin, smoky or foggy looking halo that was around on there the other night when I was on there with Lee.
Spooky.
But when you turn it landscape mode, it disappears. It's only when I turned it upright. And I thought that was
Strange.
a real cool thing. If you ever go ghost hunting and you need a hand, I'm just a message away.
There you go. All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Everything Out There. On behalf of Cathita, Cat Gray, and myself, I'm Steve Stockton. I'll see you a little further on down the trail. You see us a little further on down the trail. Tell your animals we said hi. Good night, everybody.